I'm going to do a little shop update here. I guess you could call it a shop update. It more has to do more with changing the oil and filter in the Corvette. But there's also going to be a little clip at the end regarding some new New York State legislation that was put in place regarding motor vehicles and modifying exhaust systems. So if you want to watch it, it's going to be at the end of this video. I'm also going to discuss some other things that have happened in New York State regarding cars and trucks with our new governor, if you want to call her that. But anyways, here we go. So we've got the vet in the shop. Well, it's been in the shop all winter. I just uncovered it. What I'm going to do is be changing the oil in it. So what I did is put it up on ramps. They're kind of homemade ramps. I had made these ramps to begin with. Didn't have the bottom piece of wood on it, but the other two pieces of wood. Originally, before I got the shop, when I used to change the oil on my truck in the driveway, I needed to get up a little bit higher so that I could skin my chest underneath the front of the truck to get into it. There's that little air dam underneath the front of the rams. I just needed it up in the air a little bit more. Once you got it under there, there was plenty of room to pull the plugs, change filters, stuff like that, but needed a little room. So I had made them ramps to do that. I just modified them to get the Corvette up a little bit higher. I can't get under there with a creeper logically, but I skin under there on my back and do it. Gonna put I don't know whether I showed you before, but AMSOIL. I'm gonna use AMSOIL instead of Mobil 1. I had just talked to you about changing the oil and putting that car up on the ramps. The reason why it's up on the ramps is this jack here, which I think I bought from Napa, to tell you the truth. I'm not even really sure. Will not fit under the car. The wheels are too high. The other one, the Mac jack, will fit under there, but just barely. Now, there is a way that's shown on YouTube of people getting the jack under the front of the car and on one of the cross members under there and jacking it up that way. But there's pucks, and if I get a chance, I'll show them to you, that attach into the frame. They go up into a slot in the frame and spin, and you get a puck, and it's either made out of plastic, or in my case it's made out of aluminum, and it's a jacking point for the car. That's where you're supposed to jack it up from. But if you jack it up from that, there's no way of can only jack one side, because I only have one of them jacks that will fit. If I had two of them, I could put one on one side, one on the other side, and jack it up using those pucks. But I don't have that, so thus the ramps. I'll show them to you after a while, but again, this one won't fit under the car. The flaring extensions on the bottom of the car are too low to get it under there. Okay, here is the oil that I'm going to be using. It's AMSOIL. It's a Signature Series 15 or 5W30. Of course, it's synthetic. And I also got a AMSOIL oil filter for the thing too, which is supposed to be better in the micron count. The car, the engine holds 9.8 quarts, so I actually got 11 quarts of it, just so that I would have a couple of extra ones well, an extra one and a part of another one. But anyways, that's it. I got that actually at the beginning of winter, so or in fall or the beginning of winter. So I don't remember exactly what I paid for it. Um, I can probably go back and look it up, but I have to assume it's probably a lot more expensive now with the issue with oil and um, everything going on in the country. Yeah, the invoice was in there. It was $10. I bought it in December actually. It was $10 and 69 cents a quart, and the oil filter was $14. Okay, so there's a pan with the old filter on it, and I'm putting the oil back in it right now. Again, it takes like 9.8 quarts, so um, what you have to do is, because it's a dry sump engine, you have to put the oil in, start the car, and let it warm up to operating temperature before you can check the oil level. You have to check the oil level always at operating temperature. It can't go any lower than, I think, 10 or 20 degrees below normal operating temperature to be able to check it. If it does, then you've got to start it back up and warm it up to check it, or else you're going to get a false reading on the level. But that was I think 7 quarts that I just put in. Probably what I'm going to do is like put 9.5 in, start it up, run it, get it up to operating temperature, check it just to make sure, because this is the first time I've ever done it. So, you know, they say 9.8 quarts, but let me put 9.5, bring it up to temperature, and then check it. I just kind of wanted to show this to you. I had finished that oil change, and it took exactly the 9.8 quarts. So what I'm doing now is I've got a replacement air filter, and I'll show it to you in a minute. I just wanted to show you that I'm taking the air filter, air cleaner apart, and pulling out the old air filter. But I'll bring you right back. Let me just show this to you. The original air filter is on the right hand side. The new one is on the left hand side. Now, you may not be able to see the difference in the camera, but there is a little bit of difference. This one is bigger. It also is able to, even though the micron count is lower, it's able to take in more air, much more air. Now, it's not that much bigger, but that's the reason is because it fits into the original air filter housing. To get actually a bigger air filter into it, you have to put in a cold air intake, change the entire air intake of the thing. One of the things that I noticed is made in Thailand. I'm assuming that's a stock filter out of it. The car only has 11,000 miles on it. I mean, haven't changed it. I've only had it for a little over 2,000 miles, but I didn't change it, and I don't imagine they changed it. The previous owner had changed it, but I'll pull it out of there. The other thing is, this is called Attack Blue. If you want to look it up, it's not an oiled air filter, but it is cleanable. I think I paid $130 for it. Now, I'm not even sure what the stock filter is, but again, it's cleanable, and it has unlimited cleaning cycles, they say. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'd ever notice a difference in it. It'd be hard to do unless it was some kind of a timed event. Um, but anyways, I'll bring you back. Okay, from this shot, as you can see, I have put it back together. Now, I'm not sure whether I discussed this or not, but I was thinking about porting that throttle body out, but I didn't get to it. So I kind of didn't show you the process of putting it back together, didn't film it. One of the things that happened is that Emma called and she wanted to have me take her to the park. So I threw the thing back together for two reasons. I really want to think about porting that throttle body out. You can buy ported throttle bodies, but I want to think about whether I want to try and do it or not, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the other thing is I wanted to throw it back together or get it back together and be able to take her. She wanted to go to the park and we went out to eat afterwards. But anyways, it's back together again. Has to be cleaned. The whole car has to be cleaned at some point in time. I really don't want to take it out a lot. As you can see, there's some residue on that liner that's on the inside of it, the underside of the hood. That all has to be cleaned out. I want to get the engine cleaned off and the outside of the car cleaned off. I did clean the inside the other day, but it will have to be done again. The inside of the windshield has to be cleaned, and it is a total pain in the butt for me to do it. I'm not that flexible. You really kind of need a girl to do it, and I say that because they seem to be a lot more flexible and can contort and get their hands in there to clean it. I can't even get my hand in this lower part of the between the windshield and the lower part of that dash there, but they seem to be able to do it. There was a girl that did it when I had the car. She detailed the inside of the car when I had the car ceramic coated at the detail shop. So maybe I can get her to redo that for me, clean the inside of the windshield. But you know, I did clean the inside, put some leather dressing on it, and we'll take care of that. But I'll explain a little more about this throttle body in a minute. What I've done is kind of shown a side view of the throttle body opening on this thing. So here is where the hose from the air cleaner would be hooked up into the throttle body, so the hose would go around the outside of this thing. But what it is in the throttle body, this is that flapper in there that opens and closes, allowing more air into it as you accelerate. On the bottom half of this throttle body, the material is tapered up at a smooth angle. On the top of it, they actually have a ridge up there. That ridge extends from the top and a little ways down each side of it. So what it does is when the air is coming in, being drawn in by the supercharger or being drawn in by the engine if it was normally aspirated, what it is that air hits that and it causes turbulence in there into the air. So if you smooth this thing out, the more that you smooth that thing out, port it out, smooth it out, it doesn't create as much turbulence. And so people are saying that if you do this, if you stop like at a red light or a stop sign and you don't, mine is a standard transmission, but it also apparently happens with automatic transmissions too. You get a little hesitation unless you bring the RPMs up and start out that way. But if you just start out normally and accelerate, let the clutch out and accelerate at the same time, there's a little hesitation in it. And people are saying that with a ported throttle body, you don't get that hesitation anymore. Plus, it creates a smoother flow of air into it at higher RPMs also. But I want to look into it. You know, I don't know whether if I took the throttle body off to do it myself, I don't know whether I would have to take that flapper out to actually do the porting of the throttle body or smoothing that ridge out. I just want to look at that, me doing it versus paying for a ported throttle body. They do make larger throttle bodies for this engine. The only problem is if you go to a larger throttle body, it screws with the tuning of it, and you have to reprogram the engine module to adapt to the larger throttle body. But anyways, I'll bring you back. Okay, here we go. What I'm going to do is, last night somebody sent me a link, sent me a copy of a page of apparently New York State legislation regarding vehicle exhaust systems and how they can't be modified. You can be ticketed and fined if your exhaust system is modified. Now, I'm going to put it over somewhere over there, and you can click on it and stop it and read it if you want to. But I haven't read the entire thing. I just read the first couple of paragraphs out of the thing. And like other regulations regarding motor vehicles, and I'm specifically talking about DOT regulations regarding trucks, are so ambiguously written that it is entirely subject to interpretation. What you may interpret as one thing, a police officer or a judge may interpret as an entirely different thing. Same way with this thing. Read it, it is subject to interpretation. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because it is so woke type attitude of a piece of legislation. We have people, and I know exactly why this is going about. New York State is trying to clamp down. New York State has a new governor. Cuomo used to be our governor, and he resigned because of some issues. And the lieutenant governor at the time was a woman named Hochul, and she became governor. And I'm not going to get into what I assume is her mental capacity, but she has tried to introduce legislation on banning gasoline-driven cars or diesel-driven trucks from New York State within the next, let's say, 10 years. She's trying to impose a rule, regulation, that's saying that no diesel-powered truck or gasoline-powered car is going to be allowed in New York State within so many years. Let's say 10. You could, if you want to know exactly, check out, I'm sure it's posted somewhere. But anyways, it's not right. This regulation about modifying exhaust systems isn't right. It's all these people's attempt to put gasoline and diesel powered trucks out of the state, modifying the exhaust system. not only trucks, which it would imply to my truck, but you have people that build hot rods and modify the exhaust system on it, build old cars, modify it into a hot rod or a street vehicle, and it's being able to be licensed, but now you can get imposed fines and on it because you've modified the exhaust. And again, this whole thing is subject to interpretation. You wouldn't even be able to you could get some police officer or judge saying that if you put a new tip on the end of your exhaust pipe coming out, it could be a modified thing to increase the noise level, which that document actually talks about. The whole thing is stupid. It's their push for electric vehicles, and electric vehicles are fine if the people want them. But to be shoved down our throats is absolutely ridiculous. If we want to drive electric vehicles, we should be allowed to drive electric vehicles. If we want to drive gas vehicles, we should be allowed to drive gas vehicles. Times have changed. There was a time when horses were the mode of transportation. When vehicles came into effect, we didn't ban horses from the state. Same way with steam-powered vehicles. We didn't ban steam-powered vehicles from the state when gasoline-powered vehicles or diesel-powered vehicles came into vogue. These people's attitudes are absolutely ridiculous. At some point in time, probably we will go to electric cars, but people will choose that. Let the people choose it, just the way they did about choosing going from horses to gasoline-powered vehicles. It's a people's choice, not some woke politician that's on some bandwagon about doing this. And it's not even feasible to have this done in this period of time. The way the technology is for electric-powered vehicles right now, it takes 45 minutes to charge a car at a quick charge station that they're building around the country. People don't even have patience to wait 5 minutes to pump gas, let alone sit there for 45 minutes to charge a vehicle, and they only charge up to 80% of it. You have to go into a slow mode charge to charge it fully. What are people gonna do that 45 minutes? What are people gonna do that are waiting in line to get in to a charging station for 45 minutes? People could be waiting in line for 45 minutes or an hour and a half or 3 hours to get to their vehicle to a charging station. And people, there's going to be people out there that will say, just like they don't put gas in their cars, they'll put charge in their cars, and then they're going to break down, be out of charge on the throughway or an expressway. What do? Huh? Do you either tow the vehicle out, or you bring out a service vehicle with a diesel generator so that you can recharge the thing? The whole thing is absolutely idiotic, their attitudes about this whole thing. So I just wanted to throw that up there because it's another stupid thing that the state of New York is doing to try and put gasoline or diesel powered vehicles out of commission and out of the state. But anyways, that's my rant. I'll be back with another shop update probably within a week or two. But anyways, that's it.